My way, or the highway, and in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Good afternoon, everybody. What's going on? It's Ryan Anderson here at the Gallop Out, joined by Jackson Muniz, who is drinking a clear liquid that I could only hope is water. Jackson, how you doing? It's noon on a Tuesday.
I can confirm it is water. It's not vodka, so chill out with that. Doing good. Obviously, Thanksgiving week, always exciting, and this is a really fun week of racing. Obviously, we have Churchill Downs. They have a really good card Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then the Turf Festival at Del Mar is always really great, too. So really looking forward to this week.
Big week of racing. I just wrapped up a recording with Jason Beam for Twin Spires podcast that he does every week. And we were talking about how after the Breeders' Cup, it seems like everybody kind of winds down, but Thanksgiving week often gets overlooked. I mean, you have excellent racing. You mentioned the Turf Festival. We're going to get into Churchill Downs. They have an excellent Friday card that we're going to go through today with 2 graded stakes with our special guest who's waiting in the wings. And let's not waste any more time. Real quick before we bring him on, I'll just put up. Again, we're on In the Money. Be sure to go over to In the Money media, either on YouTube or on X. You can watch all of our shows there or on the Gallop Out on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on audio wherever you get your podcasts. All right, without further ado, he's the voice of Churchill Downs, the Kentucky Derby, and just an avid horse fan and a really sharp handicapper. We've had him on a couple times before, but he's here to go through the Grade 2 Revere Stakes and the Grade 2 Clark Stakes. It's Travis Stone. Travis, welcome back on the show.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
We're doing well. Always a good time out here. Always good when we're getting to talk horses. We're talking about Thanksgiving week right now and how the racing is really high caliber. You guys have an excellent week of racing going at Churchill Downs. You guys start tomorrow, Wednesday, and go through Sunday. Other than the Clark and the Revere Stakes, how fun is Thanksgiving racing for you?
It's a extremely long week. We have 10 races Wednesday and then 12 every other day. Thankfully, we start a little bit early on Thanksgiving, but we still run 12. So it's just a long day. And from when you call races, as you may or may not know, we try and memorize the silks. And after about 100 horses, it gets kind of difficult, So, but it's fun. In fact, if you were to ask anybody around Churchill, obviously the Derby's the Derby, but I think everybody's favorite day is Saturday. It's just you just never know what you're going to see, and that the fields this year are massive. I mean, massive, and it's going to be chilly / cold. For you, it could be freezing because you were complaining about a little bit of rain. I mean, we had inches of rain last week, but it should be, in terms of track condition, at least pretty good. I mean, fast, I would say good to firm. So unless more rain comes in, which I guess you never know, but yeah.
You never know, but that does sound like a fun week of racing out there. 12 races a day outside of the 10 races you have card tomorrow. That's a lot of races. So props to you for being able to memorize all the silks and all the horses in there. I know that is not a short order, but we have a couple fun races to go through today. Grade 3 Revere Stakes going on the grass for the 3-year-old fillies, and then of course the main feature kind of the fallout at Churchill Downs is the Grade 2 Clark. I feel like that race should be a Grade 1 with the kind of the names it attracts, but regardless, they're going 9 furlongs on the main track for 3-year-olds and upwards. But we'll just start with the Revere, and we're not doing top picks or anything, but we are going to go through the field, and we'll start in the Grade 2 Revere going the mile and a 16th on the grass. We'll start with your morning line favorite, who also drew the rail, coming off of a very nice win in the Kiwi 2 Cup at Keeneland just about a month and a half ago in Lush Lips. Travis, I'll get your opinion first. Obviously, I think a well-deserved favorite for this 3-year-old crop of fillies. Pretty strong group that this attracted, and obviously that last number was her strongest on the page. But in terms of her run style, she seems pretty versatile. What do you make of her chances in here?
She gives me PTSD because I played in the handicapping contest at Keelan in October, and this was the Friday event, I believe. I think this race was no, was this race on either way. We were in the running in the hunt, and I kind of faded her a little bit, and it was a huge mistake. My girlfriend really liked her. Should have listened. That's word of advice. Anyway, she's had a pretty good trip in there. I liked Opulent Restraint to kind of wire the field, and Lush Lips just sat right off her, inherited the lead. I was encouraged by how Laura Lynn came back to run in New York the other day. But I will say, like, on form and on paper, her most recent race is a little bit dressed up, in my opinion, with how soft the trip was, for what it's worth. And the inside is not necessarily bad at Churchill. I do believe you want to be a little bit farther out on the turf making moves. So I don't know, maybe a couple of little knocks there for a horse that figures to be a fairly short favorite, but she obviously can win. She's very talented.
Definitely.
You brought that up, Travis, because this is the first year I've like followed Churchill basically day in and day out. And it seems like this turf course, more than nearly every other turf course in North America, like you don't need to necessarily save a ton of ground. Like it seems like you can be 2 wide, 3 wide, and still be pretty effective from those outside paths.
I believe that when rain hits this turf course, it gets a little bit deeper down inside. If you remember on Oaks and Derby this year, obviously it rained way too much, but a lot of the horses that moved inside and made moves inside kind of sputtered, and their subsequent form flattered it. And the opposite as well. Horses that kind of won races rolling on the far outside, they didn't come back to run nearly as well in their subsequent starts. And so I think the results bared that out. The turf course at Churchill's not a crown. A lot of turfs are crowned, meaning it's kind of like it's a half circle. This turf course is a slant down to the rail. And I don't know if that plays a role in it. I mean, it's got state-of-the-art draining. So much so they have sensors where they can tell how much moisture is in certain parts of the track. I mean, it's
Cool.
very sophisticated, but I don't know. I just go by what I saw. And like on Derby weekend, when it got wet, it was deep down inside. And even this past week, when we got back onto the turf course, horses outside did fine.
That's good to know. Jackson, Travis also brought up a good point. That last race in the QE2 Cup, and you and I have talked about this, where Lush Lips sat that perfect trip. Pretty soft trip in there, and that resulted in a career best buy for her. What do you make of her chances, as well as her run style? Because she's kind of shown that she can be placed wherever and always have that run with her.
Well, she's definitely the horse to beat in here, and I do agree with Travis. I think she got a perfect trip in there. There's no doubt about it, especially the way the race unfolded. The issue is she could get a perfect trip in this spot again because there's really not a confirmed front runner. We're going to talk about Classic Q, who can go to lead, but she's shown that she's more than capable of coming from way off the pace as well. And the same goes with Lush Lips, and the same goes with a few of these other long shots we're going to talk about. It just seems like she's at her best when she's able to get forwardly placed, and it sure seems like she's going to get that trip on Friday.
Yeah, it certainly does appear that way. She's definitely a deserving favorite, and I think the form lines with the horses she's kind of run in either directly in front of or behind, they've come back to obviously do good things. You see the likes of Nitrogen, and Travis mentioned Laurelin coming back to certainly run well up at Aqueduct a couple weeks ago. A horse coming in off of another career best performance is drawn to the outside in the number 2 Fast Market. Just won the Grade 3 Pebbles Stakes yesterday. Yeah, thank you.
Saturday.
Or 2 days ago, Sunday.
Probably
just
not going to run.
Probably not. Cross entered in here, so I do believe they're going to run here. I bet Fast Market this weekend. I didn't realize that was the Pebbles race. I was just deep in it this weekend. But either way, Fast Market entered in here. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if she ends up running in here. But Travis, if she does show up, what do you make of her chances?
Always got to be leery of a horse that gets really good really quickly. Once they find what they like to do, once they find their groove, you have to respect it. And obviously they found what she likes to do. She's probably going to like staying at home too on Friday, but you never know. I mean, stranger things have happened. We were talking about it on the TV the other day at Churchill. mentioning how remember, I think it was Willie Beeman ran back like less than 7 days to win the King's Bishop for Dutrow at Saratoga years ago. Horses that wheel back real quick actually have fairly decent records, but I have a hard time believing this one's going to do that. There's a ship involved here. It's not just walking out of the barn.
Yeah, I would imagine it's a long shot for Fast Market to get in. But Jackson, just your quick thoughts if Fast Market were to do the ship and the turnaround in 7 days, which is not something we've seen a lot from, or 5 days, which is not something we've really ever seen from John Terranova.
Yeah, we saw it all the time this summer at Kentucky Downs. Horses are capable of doing it if they make the starting gate. But I do agree with Travis. It's a little different, running right out of the same barn rather than shipping and then running again 5 days later.
No doubt. We'll go outside. The number 3 Table Flirt coming off of a win on turf, win on the grass at Churchill Downs over this track at this distance in September of this year in a non-3 lifetime win. Switched back to the turf in that effort with Irad aboard. Junior Alvarado, who was the main rider kind of before the jockey switch last time out. Numbers maybe a little bit slow, but Travis, do you think this is a horse that kind of wakes up on the turf? And what do you make of her chances in here given the pace scenario?
Well, I definitely think she's probably a bit better on turf. Her early career races, broke her maiden on turf. I forgive the Appalachian at Keeneland. It's not that she's incapable on dirt. I just feel like she's going to be up against it pace-wise, and there's probably a couple of others that get a little bit of a look in terms of deep closers at prices. But would it be a total shock if she snuck onto the ticket? The problem is she's probably sneaking onto a ticket with some short price horses. So I probably would say I'm ultimately against, Irad's riding elsewhere. So, I respect them taking a shot. This is probably the right next step for her, but she'll be up against it.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is a reasonable spot to kind of try. Jackson, what do you make of her efforts off Lasix, which we're going to get on Friday, versus her efforts with Lasix?
Yeah, that was my big key point. She's run 3 very poor races in her career and 6 good ones, and the 3 really bad ones all came without Lasix, so that would be a concern for me in this spot. She also got a really nice setup last time at Churchill against Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like she's up against it against these.
Yeah, certainly could be, and I think 15-1 kind of reflects that. But hey, got to respect the barn for getting going. And hey, Bill Mott's back in the win column. I know he got a little cold there after Breeders' Cup, but he seems to be on the upswing again. We mentioned the number 4 Classic Q. We talked briefly about the pace scenario that's going to factor into Lush Lips' chances. Travis, the last 2 runs for Classic Q, given they were going shorter than this, last time, I know it's a steadied steadied kind of towards the start. I didn't think it cost her to get 11 lengths out of it, and I thought that that's certainly not her run style. Would you anticipate her being a major pace presence, as she's shown a lot of success when she is forward?
I highly anticipate Jose sending her right out of the gate, and I think she's the one that's leading the way into the first turn. He's a very aggressive rider when the situation warrants it, particularly on turf. In my I don't have data that says that, but my anecdotal observations, I feel like, especially at Churchill, I've seen a lot of turf races where he just says, I'm going for it now. And she'll be very dangerous on the front end because there's not a lot of other pace pressure in here. I think the one thing that could maybe work against her, it is a big field. If somebody else decides to kind of get a little bit quick or, try and steal the race, this is Kentucky. Jockeys are not scared to set paces here. So I think that's something you got to think about. I put a line through the Kentucky Downs race, even though she ran well. Obviously, she ran behind a very talented horse, and she's so spicy. Kind of what happens at Kentucky Downs often just stays at Kentucky Downs. And she had every reason to not run last time, dropping double digits out of it, kind of lost contact with the leaders. She still came with her run. And perhaps that was actually just a sign that she's going to return back to the form she showed over the summer. So I think she's extremely dangerous in here. And if I were a tout on TV, like, Tony and Joe and some of those guys at Churchill, I'd probably pick her on top, thinking the wire job was coming.
Absolutely. Jackson, I want to get your thoughts on the pace scenario here. And first, how can we get that mentality at Churchill for jockeys to be aggressive? How can we get that up to New York and across the country? Because we need more of that. We need paces in these races. But Classic Q, do you anticipate her going back to the front where she's done some of her best running? And what do you give her for chances?
If I'm betting her, I would hope she goes to the front. I do feel like that's her best chance. That's her game. The Valley View last time, I know she finished second in there. I just wasn't that impressed with the field overall. It felt like she kind of clunked up into a race that fell apart a little bit. against a lesser group. Her last 2 races are just okay. I do think she needs to go forward in here. Her best races were this summer when they put the pedal to the metal. They try to run those fields off their feet. That's got to be the game plan in this spot, especially as she gets a little bit more distance into this race, because she's always been a little leg leery weight as she gets more ground to work with. So I think the way you combat that is just to go fast as you can early, drag everyone else along with you, and try to negate their late kick.
You brought up a good point there, and Travis, I want to get your thoughts. When you have a speed horse like Classic Q has been in the past, do you want the jockey to use that speed and stretch the field out early, or kind of ration that speed, hoping that they have enough late? Like, what do you want to see her go maybe to the half mile in order to, what would be, what would be the best?
I won't put it in fraction terms. I'd put it in margin terms. Like,
okay.
Be more than a length clear. Just like, be clear. Get everybody else off the bridle. Make them work to keep up. They come off the bridle. You've been loose on a uncontested lead with no pressure. That's how you win these things. It's so infuriating to watch advantages get mitigated by overly patient, cautious, scared to press the gas riding. I mean, nothing is more infuriating than a horse that gets away with a nice, easy lead, and then on the far turn, everybody's within a half length because they're trying to back down. That's not how you win these things. You just got to go. Get them off the bridle. So Jose does that. I'm telling you, Jose does that. So that I'm anticipating that here.
Me too. He's certainly not afraid to open up, and he has before. If you look in this horse's run lines, that second to last point of call, he's been clear by at least a length in when you look to those efforts 3, 4, and 5, 3, 4, and 6 back, where the horse has had a lot of success. So we'll keep it moving. We'll go to the outside. Bit of a long shot in number 5, Sea to Sky for Cherie DeVoe. Does put the blinkers on for the occasion. She's going to need to step up on numbers, and I think this is definitely going to be her biggest class test. But you do get a jockey upgrade going from Luis Rivera at Belmont at the Big A now to Brian Hernandez. You give her any outside chance to maybe round out the trifectas, Travis?
I mean, I think third's always up for grabs, but it's not a horse I'd be excited to single in on as an underneath candidate. I just think there's other stuff in here. Yeah.
I'm with you. Jackson, any thoughts on the number 5, Sea to Sky?
I bet her last time. She didn't run very well, but I did better. She's against it easy.
Yeah, she's in a lot tougher. I think the same could be said for the number 6, Princess Attitude, but she has been maybe a little bit more forward in a race. And we mentioned there's not a whole lot of pace in here. Christian Torres can sometimes be aggressive. I don't know your thoughts on that, Travis. Do you think maybe the fact that Princess Attitude has some forward ability to her, maybe that lets her hang around late?
I actually think she's more of an underneath horse than the 5, just because she's a little more consistent. If you look through her PP, she does have a couple of clunkers here or there, but for the most part, she comes with her run at some point. She's going to be a huge price. She does have a nifty second to the 7-5 favorite on paper back in June here. So that Churchill's not necessarily a negative for her. She'll be huge odds as well.
She is going to be huge odds. A horse that also shares those common running lines with Princess Attitude is the number 7 Bracelet, one that switched to turf and made that turf debut, a winning one under Flavian Pratt that day. Trained by Brad Cox, comes in here. You get Irad Ortiz. That's certainly not a downgrade in the saddle. Was on Lasix that day for the win. Comes off Lasix here, where she has not yet won, but she's only really run twice, both of those earlier this year at Turfway. Travis, do you give this one any chances, and do you think this one's going to factor early in the pace?
I don't think she'll be 10-1. I think she gets bet because of Brad and Irad. I think she'll be forward. I don't anticipate her going toe-to-toe with Classic Q, Jose, and Irad. But you have to respect the sharp improvement later into her 3-year-old year last time. It's probably more representative of what type of horse she is. So I would say she's a player to hit the board. I don't know if she's necessarily an on-top candidate.
I'm with you. Yeah, she's going to need to take a step up, but at least she woke up on the grass last time. A couple more horses to talk about. The number 8, Something About Her. Brendan Walsh trains this one. Axel Concepcion aboard to ride. Those recent turf efforts, certainly a step up from what we saw at Woodbine and Turfway earlier in the year. Jackson, coming out of the Valley View Stakes last time out, going the mile at Keeneland. What do you mean of that? What do you make of that effort? Ran behind Classic Q, who we mentioned was kind of out of position and out of touch with the field. Came with her run late. What do you make of Something About Her in here?
Yeah, I thought the last race was just okay. I kind of talked about it with the Classic Q race. It was kind of a bunch of long shots on the front end, so the pace kind of fell apart. she got the jump on the deeper closers and kind of just ran in place. It seems like she's a horse that really needs things to go her own way to have a shot on the win end at least. I do think she's an exotics player, but I don't need her at 8-1.
I'm with you, Travis. This feels like a good horse to kind of round out some tries and some supers. She's kind of a plotter. She doesn't have a huge explosive turn of foot. Jackson mentioned you kind of need the race to fall into her hands in order for her to win. Do you give her any kind of an outside chance to pose an upset here for Brendan Walsh?
And if I were playing trifecta, she'd be a horse I use in the group that's going to round out something, but she would not be a key on top or underneath. Purely because last time you got 35-1 on her, and you're going to get a third of that today, if not a quarter of that today. And it's unfortunate because last time was the time to have her for sort of the underneath key, as opposed to this time. Now you're looking at, I mean, she stacks up well in here against some of these. So like getting the board is not necessarily a stretch, and she's just not going to offer the price.
Yeah, we missed the wedding last time at the 35-1. That's a good point there. A couple more horses to go through. Travis, we'll keep it with you. Maybe a little bit of the now horse and In the Stars, just coming off a couple nice wins. One at Kentucky Downs, which we said, you know what happens at Kentucky Downs stays at Kentucky Downs, but did back that up with a nice allowance victory next time out. Has 3 really strong efforts on turf. What do you make of her chances?
It's a very good turf horse. This is a huge price for a horse and a rider that probably get a little bit aggressive coming out of the gate to get position. You draw lines through her dirt races. She's very good. To me, she'd be the I don't know if you guys remember the Budweiser long shots. You probably weren't even alive, but the Budweiser long shots on the old ESPN shows, like back in the 90s, was such a cool feature. I wish they'd bring it back somewhere. She'd be my Bud long shot. I think she's very live, very live.
Yeah,
I think so too. Yeah, Jackson, go.
Yeah, apparently we're all in the same long shot here. She doesn't seem like she's going to be 15-1 if we're all picking her a little bit as a live long shot. That last race at Keeneland, Syed said, I'm taking her 4 wide on the final turn. I don't care. I think I have the best horse. I'm not going to save any ground. And that's exactly what happened. He was still able to overcome that wide trip and got the job done against a decent field. So she's in with a shot in this race for sure.
Yeah, very well-bred horse. Is a half to Magnify, trained by Baffert, and a full to Plutarch, a 2-year-old who's still looking to break the maiden, but has run fine on turf. Number 10, Pretty Picture, trained by Chad Brown. Flavian Pratt in town to ride from New York. Couple decent turf efforts, but I don't know. I feel like this horse is going to be overbet just because of the connections. What do you think, Travis?
Largely agree, although Fast Market did flatter the last race a little bit, so it's not like the form is not there. But I don't think she's 10-1. I don't see how Chad Brown goes off 10-1 in a race like the Mrs. Revere. So certainly can win. I'd probably slot her right alongside Brendan's horse, the 8, in terms of tickets. And if one of them hits the board, hopefully I'm right in the other 2 spots if I were to be gambling.
I like that. Jackson, the number 11 Caviar Breakfast. Do you anticipate this one with Manny Esquivel in the saddle for Kenny McPeak, maybe being a pace presence early, trying to push the pace with Classic Q?
I mean, if I'm riding this horse, I would think that's my only chance. She's gotten good by going towards the front. I just don't think she's fast enough to keep up with these.
Yeah, I don't know that she's fast enough. Certainly not fast enough late, but maybe early. Travis, do you give her maybe a chance to kind of muddy the pace scenario?
She could. I mean, McPeak's horses are running very well right now, so I wouldn't. She's probably going to be sharp early. She has to be from that outside post, so perhaps, yeah.
She does. Last one we'll quickly touch on. J&J Heart Soul, I think, is an underlay at 30-1. This horse is going to have to take a massive, massive step forward. Anybody, any outside looks on this horse?
No.
Okay. We'll keep things moving. Those are our thoughts on the Grade 2 Miss Revere Stakes going as race number 10 on Friday, November 28th. We'll move on now to the 9 furlong feature event. The Grade 2 should be a Grade 1 Clark Stakes for the 3-year-olds and upwards. Another strong field here. We'll start with the rail with Cook Creek. Mike Maker trains this one. Just won at Delaware over a muddy sealed surface. Racing was a little weird that day. I don't know what you want to make of the horses coming out of those races. Travis, what do you give the chances to Cook Creek here in a very stacked field? You have some promising 3-year-olds that kind of ran behind, Sovereignty Journalism all year that are looking to take a step forward, and then some well-proven 4-year-olds and upward.
Yeah. We can talk about the 3-year-olds when we get to them. As for Cook Creek, didn't the runner-up or the winner of the Delaware Oaks, that was the Whit Beckman horse that came back to hit the board in the Breeders' Cup, right? So at least horses came back to run well out of that. I'm not sure how Cook Creek wins. So I think you're just asking for an awful lot of stuff to go right. Respect the form. ran well against Hit Show in the Lucas Classic last year. This is a much tougher field, and I think there's other better speed.
I'm with you on that. Jackson, I'll get your thoughts first here on First Mission. This is a horse that we saw out in Santa Anita in the Goodwood in September. Didn't run great then, running behind Nevada Beach, who just came back to win. Privman came back to win a stake, who finished third in there. Full Serrano ran okay in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. What do you make of this one's chances? This is one of those horses where I'm never on the right side of him.
He is one of the most confusing horses in North America because he runs so well sometimes, and he'll show up and he'll just run clunkers. And those last two races were bad. He should have won at Monmouth at 1-9, and then the Goodwood, that was a grade 1 race he was supposed to win, and he just didn't pick up his feet at all. So for these connections, feels like he's going to be a way over bet. I think there are far more interesting horses in this race.
Me too, Travis. Your thoughts? I think 5-1 is a bit of a dream on Pratt, Cox, and Godolphin combination. I don't know that we'll get that. Second in this race last year when losing to Trademark. What do you make of First Missing Shot?
And the only thing that kind of annoys me about there's a lot of things that annoy me about First Mission because for obvious reasons, it's like you can just never seem to nail them. But that workout, 2 workouts ago, it's kind of jumping out on the page as perhaps coming back home to Kentucky, the brief freshening, not chasing, the big prize out west. Maybe that's what this horse needed. Would he totally surprise you if he won? Of course not. He's a good horse. At the end of the day, he is good. He's got talent. It just feels like in this particular spot at this particular moment, he's probably going to be an underlay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. A horse that's coming off of a really nice win last time out was overlooked, I guess, above about 3.5, 7-2 last time out in the grade 3 Fayette. Beat a couple of these in Rattle and Roll, who we're going to talk about, and Gosger, who's an improving 3-year-old. But Hit Show, winner of the Dubai World Cup and now winner of the grade 3 Lafayette, has some wins over the Churchill surface. What do you think this one can take another step up? I know he's gotten the job done plenty of times. Buyer speed figure wise, maybe not the most consistent. You don't know when he's going to fire that big effort. What do you make of his shot in here?
I think you just have to weave through the PPs like this. So he wins the Dubai World Cup. Obviously, Forever Young was probably a little bit flat that day, but not for nothing. He did beat Forever Young. I don't care about the Foster. That was his first race back in America. He came right back with a very strong effort in the race at Mountaineer, got a big figure. Perhaps he regressed a little bit in his most recent start after that, and his subsequent start after that, I should say, and then took a nice step forward last time. To me, I think 3-1 is overlay status on a proven horse like this. But it's not like I'm running to the windows to bet him. He is 11 for 22. So that's my read there. Like, I can forgive the Foster. I can forgive the Lucas Classic. If I remember correctly, too, he wasn't like in the best of sorts, if you will, going to the gate and in the gate and stuff like that. So I don't think it was necessarily his day. He probably regressed off that race at Mountaineer. So to me, I think he's a major player, especially because I do think a couple of these want to kind of be forward, and he's not.
Jackson, that's a good point that Travis brings up at the end, that he's not one that wants to be forward but can come with that run late. What do you make of the chances of Hit Show and then the value that you can get to you, whether you like the 3-1 or you think that he's going to be lower come post time?
He's certainly the horse to beat. There's no doubt about it. He's on his best day. He's very good. He's supposed to get some kind of setup in here. It just 3-1, I think, is a little low for me, but there's no doubt he's going to be a big player in this spot. That last race was good. He was always in the best spot, and he won that race pretty nicely. Got the jump on the deeper closers.
That last race was good, and it was very strong, and it kind of tipped the hand that these 4-year-olds might be better than the 3-year-old crop, and I think that kind of showed again in the Breeders' Cup Classic when you had the top 3 from last year. All 4-year-olds now finish in front of Journalism, who was the top 3-year-old behind Sovereignty, who obviously didn't make the gate when he spiked the fever. But you had a horse like Gosger who ran really well in the Haskell, finishing second to Journalism that day. Didn't run too great in the Pennsylvania Derby, but did bounce back in the grade 3 Fayette when being beaten by 2 older horses in Rattle and Roll and Hit Show. Travis, I'll go to you. Blinkers on for Brendan Walsh in this effort, but talk about the 3-year-olds, as I know we wanted to discuss them facing older here towards the end of the year.
Yeah, no, I'm against, because I think it's been proven, and I would never engage in this discussion on Twitter because it's just a gaping hole of nothingness. But I don't think Sovereignty would have sniffed Forever Young in the Classic. I mean, I hate to say it, but it is what it is. I think the older horses were better and have proven to be better. Journalism ran his race. Journalism ran very well. He was beaten. Baeza had a weird trip, whatever. But even in the non-Breeders' Cup races, some of these 3-year-olds have not stacked up. I tweeted about it after one of them. I can't remember which race it was. It might have been the Fayette. It's just they're not necessarily panning out. So to me, I'm against. The one thing I'll say about Gosger is the Hask was a big effort. The PA Derby was the regression off it. The Fayette was a step forward. So theoretically, he is sitting on another forward move in here. I don't love the blinkers and Saez in the race that has some speed. And ultimately, I just think, I mean, if you said you could get 3-1 on Hit Show or 4-1 on Gosger, I think the bet all day long is 3-1 on Hit Show.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. Jackson, your thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like if someone wants to tell me that Gosger ran just as well as Hit Show in the Fayette, I wouldn't disagree. He was always on top of a fast pace. He was 3 or 4 wide throughout, and he only finished a length behind. So I view him pretty equally in this spot. The blinkers going on, I think, is interesting. I did watch his most recent workout with the blinkers. He got trounced, but he's always been a really poor workhorse, so I don't know what to necessarily make of that either. 4-1, I think if you like him, is probably a decent price. I just wasn't sure where to go with him.
Yeah, me too. I would take the value on Hit Show at 3 over Gosger at 4-1. And yeah, Travis, you're probably smart for not bringing up that statement on X, because that would just lead into the worst spiral ever. But I think you're in the right group right now. Where the 3-year-olds haven't stood up to the 4-year-olds. And a horse like Forever Young, horses like Fierceness and Sierra Leone. I mean, those are grown 4-year-olds. Those aren't like, Hit Shows or Rattle and Rolls, who are very nice in their own right. But these are, 3 of the top probably 10 best racehorses in the world on their best day. So I'm with you on that. We'll keep the conversation with the 3-year-olds though, because we have the number 5 Chunk of Gold, new rider and Junior Alvarado for Ethan West. Came off a nice win at Keeneland at their fall meet, excuse me. Didn't race on Lasix that day in the optional claiming event, so keeps the Lasix off, going right along. Had a race here where, in my opinion, Jareth Loveberry kind of got taken to school by Brother Kenny and Jose Ortiz that day when finishing second in there. What do you make of Chunk of Gold's chances? Certainly one that's going to be forward.
That was a big effort last time, although it was kind of a softish pace, raw fractions wise, and a lot of times that yields inflated numbers when was not a ton of pressure throughout. This is just a much tougher spot. And if I don't like the 3-year-olds, how am I supposed to like what might be not even the best 3-year-old in this race? And I think this horse is a cool story. They bought him for $2,500 and he's banked nearly $1 million. But this is the right spot for them to try. It's just I just don't think he's there.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of a tall task. Jackson, I'll get your thoughts on the number 6 Rattle and Roll. 3rd start of the form cycle since coming back from Dubai earlier this year. Ran in that St. Lucas Classic that we talked about earlier, and then came right back in the Fayette, finishing in front of Gosger, behind Hit Show. What do you think of this runner, 3rd off the bench now for Kenny McPeak?
I think he's just a couple below the best horses in this race. He got a really nice trip last time from way off the pace into a fast pace, and he was second best in their Hit Show. I thought Hit Show ran much better than him. So if you have Hit Show at 3-1, who's going to get the jump on him, and Rattle and Roll at 7-2, I would take Hit Show all day.
Yeah, Travis, in terms of off the pace runners, I do think Hit Show holds the advantage over a horse like Rattle and Roll. What say you on that and Rattle and Roll's chances this Friday?
I just don't agree with the morning line at 7-2 here. I think he drifts. I can't see where some of these others don't take more money than him. I actually think he's very dangerous. He was a participant in the Lucas Classic. That was just a let's get back to the racetrack type effort. He really improved nicely last time in the Fayette. He was only a length off Hit Show. He obviously beat Gosger. He needs pace to go his way. But this is a horse that won this race last year. And now he's 3rd off the layoff with an improved effort, 2nd off. I think he's very dangerous, and I think he drifts up from his 7-2. If he is 7-2, I don't really care for him. I just don't think he's going to be.
Is there a price? Oh, go ahead.
I think he could be like 8-1 in this spot. I think he could drift up quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm interested at 6-1, I think. Maybe even I could be convinced at 5. If like first mission's going off real short,
right,
then I'm in. But I'm definitely interested at 6, and I think you're right. I think you can go up to 8.
Yeah, this is certainly one that could drift. A horse that we won't spend too much time on, the number 7, Houday. I'll just open this up to either of you. Anybody have give this one even an outside remote chance?
No.
Okay. Willie D's, the number 8, another Mike Maker entrant in here, along with Cook Creek, who's down on the rail. Another one that figures to be forward early. I feel like the others are just kind of a cut above. Would you guys agree with that?
Base presence. When he gets things his own way, he's pretty good. He's just not getting things his own way in this spot. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, Maker's not going to duel with Maker. I don't know. I kind of find one of these to maybe be maybe one of them scratches. Like, put it that way. I don't know. Yeah,
I always think it's a little strange when a trainer enters 2 and they have the same run style. Because obviously, yeah, you mentioned they're not going to duel with each other. All right, last horse that we'll talk about, getting reunited with jockey Jose Ortiz, is the number 9 Magnitude. Showed a new dimension last time in the Pennsylvania Derby, running one of his stronger races from coming off the pace. Travis, this is another 3-year-old going against these, but this is maybe a little more of an underexposed type in terms of what we've seen from him, because obviously he had a big break from February to July. What do you make of the chances of Magnitude, especially after that last race showing maybe a new run style?
Yeah, I think he goes a little bit higher than 9-2. He also could get bet in here because he does have some angles. I thought that the Pennsylvania Derby was not as bad as it might look on paper. And with all due respect to Ben Curtis, flipping to Jose is not nothing. The issues, though, are he's drawn outside and there's other speed in here. And if you look at his PPs, his best efforts most certainly have been when involved or on top of the pace. The PA Derby was one thing because he did come from off it a little bit and he had a little bit of a weird trip. And that might be the one thing in this entire PP profile that I'm thinking like maybe there is something more here, because his Risen Star was stout. His Iowa Derby was stout. I don't know what to make of the Travers, but at least he bounced back off that. Maybe he bounced off the Iowa Derby or what have you. So he's the wild card. This might be a horse I'm like excited about for a 4-year-old because I think Steve Asmussen is as good as it gets at developing dirt horses for long, successful careers. That'd be my read there.
Yeah, your last point is something that I was thinking as well. Is just I want to see this horse next year as a 4-year-old. I do think he's really going to kind of come into his own and grow up a little bit because we haven't seen a whole lot of him this year because of that big break due to injury. Jackson, is there a price on the number 9 Magnitude that you would consider playable, whether it's at 9-2, maybe below if you really like this horse, or what are your thoughts real quick as we wrap things up?
I think he's the horse to beat. I think I would take 3-1 on him. He's run 3 of his last 4 races are numbers that are fast enough to beat this field, to beat everyone in this field. And I love what he did last time in the Pennsylvania Derby. I know it came at Parks, so maybe to take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But that new dimension is something he had never shown before. He was always a needly type to run well, and he did not get a great trip in there. He's always behind horses. He had to weave his way in and out and still got up to finish second in there. So I think he's pretty live in this spot if you're willing to. I don't know what happened in Saratoga. That race was so bad, but his other races besides that are excellent.
If you really like him, you have to bet him because if he wins this, you're never getting a good price in him at all next year because
Correct.
there's no older horses next year. Like this is it. He would be the one.
Yep.
I mean, there's a couple. Obviously, if Sovereignty comes back, but yeah.
We
sure.
see your point for sure, though. It's an hour. Like this would be the wedding if you ever wanted on Magnitude. Because I'm with you. If he wins this, we're never going to get that price again. Thanks for saving the
my second wedding with him because I thought the Travers was the first, but that clearly didn't happen.
We did think that, but Andy Serling also picking Magnitude made us all know that when the 3 of us all thought we were wise guys, that horse had no shot. But
and our friend Matthew will never let us forget it ever.
No, he will not. He will not. But hopefully, we see Sovereignty come back as a 4-year-old. We're going to see Baeza. We'll see Journalism. Magnitude, obviously, hope he's part of that scene. Same with Gosger and some others in here because I think that they could maybe make up a very strong 4-year-old division if they improve. But Travis, thank you so much for the time. I know we said 30 minutes. We went about 39 minutes and 40 seconds. But thank you for the time. I know you have a long week going this week with I don't even want to do the math on how many races that is because I'm sure you already know in your head and how many you have to prepare for. So thank you again for sharing your thoughts on the Grade 2 Miss Revere and the Grade 2 Clark Stakes. Are there any of the races this week that you're looking forward to? And
take a look at that. That Saturday card is stout, and the Goldenrod and the Kentucky Jockey Club are very good heats. Very good heats.
Further ado.
There's some runners in those two races I think we'll hear from down the road. So that's like maybe 180 races from now, Saturday. But yeah.
It'll be here before you know it. Travis, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your week. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Hope you're able to have some Thanksgiving-related festivities after the races on Thursday. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been Ryan Anderson and the Gallop Out. My co-host, Jax Muniz. You and I will see each other later on HHH Racing for Pacific Horse Players for the Del Mar Turf Festival. Travis, thank you again. We hope to see you again soon, and all the best to you.
Take care, guys. See ya.
All right. Thank you guys for watching.